Today, we're talking about a fundamental revolution in how we think about our own health. We're moving away from a world of sick care, where we wait for something to break and then try to fix it, and stepping into an era of proactive wellness, where we can actually get ahead of problems and engineer a longer, healthier life. Let's dive in. So let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. 70%. For the number one killer on the entire planet, the most common symptom is the heart attack itself, or even worse, sudden death. This one fact just perfectly captures the massive flaw in our current health strategy. We are waiting for symptoms. And that leads to the big question, right? If the things that are most likely to kill us are silent, if they're moving just under the surface, how on earth are you supposed to find them before it's way too late? This is the blind spot we have to start talking about. Look, for all the amazing things it can do, our health system today has a giant blind spot. It's just not built to find these invisible threats. Why? Because it's fundamentally designed to react, not to anticipate. And this isn't just about heart disease, not at all. It turns out that 70% of cancer deaths today come from cancers that we don't routinely screen for. Just think about that. We're talking about things like pancreatic, kidney, and ovarian cancers that often grow completely silently until they hit stage 4. So here's the bottom line. We have built an absolutely incredible system for treating sickness once it shows up. We are without a doubt masters at chasing disease. But we've almost completely ignored the art and science of actually creating and maintaining health from the very beginning. So why? Why is the system set up this way? Well, in this next part, we're going to get into the core reasons. Everything from how it was historically built to its, frankly, deeply misaligned financial incentives. So you've really got two completely different models here. On one side, you have sick care. That's the one that waits for the chest pain, waits for the lump. And on the other side, you have proactive health, which uses deep data to hunt for the earliest possible signals of disease, sometimes years or even decades before a symptom would ever appear. I mean, think about it like this. We demand incredibly rigorous, data-driven preventive maintenance for our airplanes, right? You would never, ever accept a pilot just kind of eyeballing it and saying, looks good to me. So why do we accept that lower standard for the most complex, most valuable machine we will ever own? Our own body. And what's so frustrating is that our failure to be proactive has nothing to do with a lack of technology. The speed of medical innovation has been absolutely mind-blowing. We went from penicillin becoming common in 1945 to literally editing our own genes in less than a single human lifetime. The tech is advancing at an exponential rate. But here's the massive disconnect. Even with that incredible speed, it takes on average 17 years for a new medical discovery to become standard practice. That means your doctor, as brilliant as they are, is often working with a toolkit that is almost 2 decades out of date. And if you follow the money, it gets even crazier. The U.S. spends $5 trillion a year on healthcare. That's half of the entire world's spend for just 4% of the population. And for all that money, we rank 64th in longevity. But the most telling number of all is right here. Only 3% of that massive spend goes to prevention. Why? Because the system gets paid for procedures, for pills, for what they call heads in beds. It doesn't get paid to keep you healthy. Okay, enough about the problem. Let's pivot and talk about the solution, because there is one. It's time to talk about this proactive health revolution and how we can finally start engineering wellness instead of just treating sickness. The very first step is we have to change the goal. This isn't just about lifespan, how long you live. It's about health span. How many of those years are actually spent in good health, feeling great, full of energy, and free from disease? And listen, this is not science fiction. With the technology that exists right now, no futuristic breakthroughs needed. The data strongly suggests we can get the average person to age 95 in good health. This is an achievable target today. So how do we actually do it? Well, the key is to move from guesswork to data. And we do that by creating this incredibly detailed, high-resolution digital twin of your body. Just think of it as the ultimate data map of you. This right here is the critical shift. We're moving away from generic, one-size-fits-all wellness advice you might get from some influencer online, and we're moving toward a deeply personalized health plan that's based on your unique biology, on your data. And we're not talking about your standard annual physical here. Building this digital twin means going deep, looking at every layer of your biology. It combines things like advanced full-body MRIs with your complete genetic blueprint from whole genome sequencing. It's a deep dive into over 160 blood biomarkers, and it's even functional tests for how your brain and body are actually performing. The whole point is to create the most complete picture of you that's ever existed. And just look at the difference in scale. Your typical physical exam, that might generate a few megabytes of data. A full digital twin workup, we're talking about 250 gigabytes. It's like going from a single snapshot to a full-length 4K movie of your health. Now, all this data is incredibly empowering, but let's be real, it's useless if you don't act on it. So this final section is all about taking back control, about stepping up and becoming the CEO of your own health. You know, a lot of people worry about their genetics, but this quote is so important. Your genes are not your destiny. They might load the gun, sure, but it's your lifestyle, your choices, your environment that actually pulls the trigger. You have way more control than you think. So what can you actually do starting now? Here are 3 incredibly powerful, evidence-backed actions. First, get some baseline data. Start measuring things so you know what's normal for you. Second, master your sleep. It is non-negotiable. It's when your brain and body do all their repair work. And third, lift heavy things. Building and maintaining muscle mass is one of the single greatest predictors of a long, healthy life. And let's be really clear about the goal here. This is not about living in fear, constantly worried about what might go wrong. It's the exact opposite. It's about getting the peace of mind that comes from knowing so you can stop worrying and actually go live your life to the absolute fullest. At the end of the day, this whole thing isn't some quest for immortality. It's about high-performance aging. It's about having the energy and vitality of someone in their 40s when you're 70 or 80. So the real question isn't just how long can we live, it's what incredible things are you going to do with all that extra vibrant, healthy time?